Welcome to Healers Talk Healing, the podcast where we gather to explore the art and science of holistic healing, uncovering the secrets to a happier, healthier you. I'm your host, Nina Ganguly, and together we will delve into the intriguing world of holistic healing, delving into the mind-body connection, ancient wisdom, and natural remedies. Get ready for enlightening stories, thought-provoking expert interviews, and practical tips that will empower you to unlock your true potential and embrace a vibrant, balanced life. Whether you're an experienced wellness enthusiast or simply curious about the power of healing, join us on this exhilarating journey as we share the wisdom and insights that can truly transform your life. It's time to embark on a voyage towards a happier, healthier you. So, without further ado, let's dive into the captivating world of Healers Talk Healing. In this heart-centered episode of Healers Talk Healing, we sit down with the incredibly intuitive Tina Meyer, a massage therapist, reflexologist, and Reiki master teacher whose healing journey spans over 25 years. What unfolds is more than a conversation. It's a masterclass in trust, intuition, and multidimensional healing. Tina opens up about her evolution as a healer, the importance of breath and presence, and how reflexology can target everything from physical ailments to emotional trauma. She shares why energy work, particularly Reiki, often requires faith over feedback, and how clients' openness can dramatically shift the session's outcome. We also explore how intuition shapes every aspect of her work, from choosing essential oils to deciding on a treatment path, and why self-care rituals, even 5 minutes long, are vital. Whether you're curious about alternative healing or simply seeking a deeper connection with your well-being, this episode offers insights to support your own path towards balance and wholeness. Tune in to rediscover the power of presence, intuition, and the many ways healing can unfold. Okay, so I am super excited to be talking with Tina Meyer today. We have already highlighted her greatness and the wonderful accomplishments that she's
Can I just stop you real quick? Tina Meyer.
Meyer. Okay, let's start again.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, I am super excited to have Tina Meyer with us today. You've heard the introduction, her great accomplishments, and we're going to get right into it as we usually do. So the first question I always ask everyone, Tina, is what does healing mean to you?
Healing. Oh my goodness. I feel that healing, first of all, hello everybody. It's nice to be here with you. And healing, that's a big one because it's not just a simple, answer. It's healing to me is very personal. There's all kinds of different healing in regards to there's spiritual healing, physical healing, mental healing. The list goes on. So there is a lot that goes in with what does healing mean to me. I feel that the person that is being healed needs to be open to accepting the healing. In my experience, I've seen both where I've had clients walk in and they are just open. They're like, bring it on. I want this so bad. And the session goes perfect. And then I have the naysayers, the ones that walk in are a little bit closed. And I can tell, I can almost bet money that those people will probably, they're not going to accept it into their bodies. And healing is, healing can be a walk on the beach and you can be healed. So there is a lot that has to do with healing. And yeah, I
actually, based on what you just said, it's interesting because I too have, experienced when, a client comes in, they call you, they're very excited, they want change, they want something, but, they are a little apprehensive or, a little on the fence of, is this going to work? When I'm talking specifically, about Reiki itself.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you find working with someone when you can, the whole time you're feeling like this is not, this, nothing is happening. It's not, I can
Mhm.
feel that shield, shields are up.
Right. Uh-huh.
What is your process to help someone slowly kind of bring that shield a little closer or dissipate it so that they do get some benefit out of it?
Breath. I feel that breath is always one of the best ways to get somebody centered, get whatever chatter it is that's in their mind quieted down. I try to bring it more into the session. Like perhaps I'll start talking about what it is that I'm doing
Mm,
and the benefits that they could receive from it. Um, that's on a physical outward speak. In my mind or in my body, and what I'm creating for them is just asking for peace for them, asking for the powers that be to come in and help them to be a little more open, more receiving to the session. Um, however, I just keep coming back to breath. You can just if I can really feel the tension in their body that they're just I'll just stop what I'm doing. I'll lay my hands on them. If I'm massaging, if I'm doing reflexology, there's a solar plexus point. I might come to the solar plexus point and just hold that and just have them take 3 deep, calming breaths.
mm,
And that usually will do the trick.
wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So I do have some questions here for you,
Okay.
based on everything that we know about you. So you've been practicing since 1998. So what
Mhm.
first drew you to massage therapy, reflexology, and Reiki?
Well, kind of a fun story. It really started with my family and my friends.
Mm,
We would get together. I've always been a touchy-feely person. I'm a hugger. When I talk with you, I always put my hands on your shoulders. So I've always been very engaged with being physical. And when we would get together, like I said, either with family or my friends, it always seemed like we would end up in a massage train. Somebody would be behind me, I'd be in front of somebody, and we'd be rubbing each other's shoulders or rubbing each other's feet. So I've always been very sensory. Like I just had a memory come into my mind with my very best friend that I've known since birth and blessed that I still know her today. We used to sit on the bed and with our hairbrushes and like brush each other's backs because it just felt so good. So I mean that goes way back to 20 years ago when we were children. But yeah, so I've always just been very sensory and it just blossomed into where I'm at today.
That's beautiful. So, how actually have your practices evolved over the years, especially with your multimodality approach?
Well, let's see. I just, experience, I think just getting out there and the fact that I've been doing it for so long. And if I receive a massage and there's something that somebody does to me, that might spark me to go look into that. And just constantly growing. I started with massage back in 1998. I added reflexology probably in 2000 or say 15, maybe 10, 15. I've been involved in the reflexology for longer than that, but professionally, it was probably around 2015. And then Reiki's always kind of been that the energy healing has kind of always been with me.
Mm,
I just, it just has evolved into where it's at today. So I think just the fact that, constantly in there doing it and being, exposed to it has really helped me be who I am today.
mm. So I just actually was going to ask this question off the top of my head, but it's here, so I'll ask it this way. You tailor each session, sorry, to the client's, current needs. So how do you intuitively or practically decide like what they need in the moment when they may call you and say, "Hey, I want a Reiki session." And then they
Mhm.
show up in your room and you're like, Maybe you need something else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much how it works. It's that intuition. It's just when I get a client and, like you said, they walk in thinking they're going to get one modality, and then I hear their story. And this could be a client that I've seen for the last 15 years, and she always comes in and gets massage, let's
Mm,
just say. And then something shifts in that session. She walks in, she's been having something going on in her life to where I say, I really think perhaps reflexology will be better for you today.
mm,
So, or, what are you open to for me to just kind of quiet you down and do some relaxing Reiki on you, just hands-on Reiki, just to kind of calm your whole, nervous system down. Um, it's kind of neat that I do have the different modalities. I feel that, massage and reflexology, Reiki for me is the icing on the cake. Reiki for me
mm,
is what just kind of calms everything down. Where, the massage and the reflexology, that's the physical part of what I do. And what's beautiful with that, because I have got friends or colleagues that are just massage therapists, and then I have colleagues that are just reflexologists. But I feel that it's neat that I'm both because they marry well together. They really, really do. I usually will do reflexology first in a
mm.
session. If I'm going to do a combination, I'll do reflexology first because that's basically, and I know we'll get into that in a little bit, but that's basically, I can work the whole body. Let's just say on a hand, I can work the whole body on a hand. So by doing, let's just say their hands, by reflexing their hands, I've already worked their whole body. So then by the time I get to the massage part of it, they're already they're already done. They're already relaxed. Their muscles have been, there's no more tension in their body, muscles relaxed. So I
Mm.
just feel that the combination of both really work well. And then, like I said, then you just put the little cherry on top with the Reiki. I call it infusing. I infuse my sessions with some Reiki.
Oh,
And
I love that. I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. And you also blend hot stones, aromatherapy, and sound therapy. Wow, your clients must be so happy when they come to see you. Like
I think they are.
technology, and this is what happens. Wow. So how do these add to the experience or the healing outcome?
Well, the hot rocks are just they're, heat is always good. So
Mm,
I use the hot rocks mostly in my massage. Now you can, and I haven't experienced this yet, but you can bring rocks into reflexology. And as I said, I haven't experienced or haven't done that myself yet, but that is an option. But with massage, I just bring in the hot rocks. I lay the rocks on their back just to warm their muscles up. I use the rocks in my hands to go through and work the muscles with the rocks in my hands. You can use it all over the body, on the legs, on the arms, up and through the neck. There's even little stones that you can use on your face. So it's just another layer of what we can peel away with using the hot rocks. It's just another way to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the muscles.
mm.
And and then with the essential oils, I just get called, and I know I can say that in this forum because
Absolutely.
we're all the magicians here, um, the miracles.
I love
And
how you said that.
yes. So I just get called to use specific oils. And sometimes I'll just stand there and just think, okay, what is it that I should bring in? And it's like marjoram. So I'll just grab my bottle of marjoram and I'll use that on them. Lavender is a universal oil, so that's always good. But I
Mm,
love infusing my sessions with the essential oils. I'll either, blend them with the carrier oil that I have in my hands.
mm,
Um, I'll have them breathe it in. So there's all kinds of wonderful things that you can do with the essential oils. And then the sound healing, I have, I should probably it's a chime. I have a chime. I call it the fairy bells because it just sounds like little fairy bells. And then I have a really nice a brass sound bowl that I'll use. It's the vibration. It's again it's another form, another layer that you can get into with the healing. It all helps. It's you know, if you cook, I'm thinking of cooking analogies. If you cook, it's, you know, you can find a recipe and it says add A, B, and C, but you just know that this and that's going to add even a little bit more. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like,
Mm.
yes, a straight massage is going to be great, but oh, if I bring in a little bit of essential oil, or oh, if I rub them with a hot rock, or oh, let me use the little, have a tuning fork, you know, you can get in, you know, a tuning fork. So all of that just adds to the experience and to the session.
And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about a couple of things,
Okay.
because I think that most of us know what massage is, and but let's talk more about the reflexology. I mean, I know the overall concept of reflexology, like we have certain points on our
Mhm,
feet. I didn't think about hands, to be honest. I was thinking about feet. Um,
mhm.
so, what is reflexology and how does it work?
Wow. Reflexology can actually be done in your feet, your hands, and your outer ears. And
Oh,
there's even face reflexology, which I don't do that. Again, I'll say yet. But what I practice is the feet, the hands, and the outer ears. And it's based on the theory that there is a map of our bodies, our everything from the top of our head down to the tips of our toes, a map that is, I always say, superimposed on your feet, on your hands, and on your outer ears. The feet and the hands are similar because we have the palm of our feet in our hands, we have the back of our feet in our hands, we have, you know, 5 digits on each. I'll get to the ears in a moment. But very quickly, so the map is superimposed on the feet and the hands. So anything from this point of our toes and our fingers on up, that represents everything from the neck on up.
hmm.
The soft palm of your hand and of your feet. That's all your soft and organs, all of your organs. And this is very brief. Midlines, midlines. This has to do with the midline of our body. So it's the spinal column. On the outside of our feet and our hands, that represents our legs and our arms. And then there's all kinds of other stuff involved in there. And the ears, as I said, ears are a little bit different. It's almost like you have a little body or a little embryo. And if you just turn it upside down and superimpose it on the ear, that's where all of the reflexology points are going to be on the ear. It's very complicated, or not complicated, but there's a lot involved in that. So I'll save that for the in-depth later. But but you will find all these points, all these reflexology points on the feet, ears, and the outer ears, feet, hands, and outer ears. And then what happens is we go through and we do what's called reflexing. So we have different strokes, if you will, of reflexing, and we go through and we reflex through these points, these reflex points, and that stimulates the area that it represents in our body. Works with the central nervous system, it works with the nerve endings, and all the other, you know, that it works with circulatory system and the lymphatic system. So it really targets and hits everything that is involved in the body. What I love about reflexology is that it can be extremely targeted. So if somebody comes to me and they are having, I'm going to say, kidney issues,
Hmm.
with massage, I can go in and I can give them a massage, but I'm not necessarily going to be massaging their kidney. But with reflexology, there is a form of massage that you can do that, but to keep it simple. But with reflexology, I can go right in and work the reflexology point that has to do with the kidneys, and I can help bring healing to and healing to that part of the body. So I love that part about reflexology, that it can be very, very targeted. And you can work on just about anything that ails you, be it physical, if it's a neck ache or a stomach ache or an earache or a toothache. I can do something reflexology wise to help that. Um, if it's emotional, PTSD, anxiety, depression. I just worked on a lady that has multiple sclerosis. So it's vast of what we can work on through on the feet, hands, and ears through reflexology. So I love reflexology because it's just and it's it's an easy modality. We don't have to undress. Everybody is dressed for a reflexology session. There's no oil involved. The because I do massage, I have my room set up, so I have a table, which is where I have my clients. But you can do it reclined, in a reclining chair, or just at a chair. Or if I just see you and you say, "Oh gosh, my sinuses are really bothering me today," I can grab your hands or your ears and I can help you with your sinus issues, just like that. So
That
reflexology is I love it.
that's incredible. I actually didn't know that at all. I didn't know
Oh,
that
yeah.
you could it's that intense. I mean, like I said, I have a very general overview of what reflexology is. And so I'm so glad that you were able to say that because yeah, there are some clients that are more nervous about getting on a table, undressing, or they could be allergic to the oils. You don't know what's going on, but then to have something that can still give you a really good release, or like you're talking about anxiety and depression. I didn't know that you could use reflexology for that.
Absolutely. And you brought up a really good point, Nina, in regards to somebody that comes to me, like you said, that's a little bit nervous or apprehensive, that maybe they don't want to take off their clothes, they don't want to get undressed. They're very nervous about having somebody touch them. Reflexology is perfect for that. And I have worked on people in those kind of situations. Perhaps I have a client and they say, "Oh, my husband or my friend or my client, whatever."
Mhm.
They have somebody that's like that. I'm like, this is so uninvasive that it'll work on them. And then that could open them up to the trust, to where it's like, "Oh, okay, she's worked on me now for several months on reflexology. Maybe I'll let her massage my back," something to
Mhm.
that effect. And the other really good thing about reflexology is that you can do it on yourself. So,
I was just gonna ask about that. And I thought,
yeah.
wouldn't it be cool if you could show us or explain, because this is where we have an audio podcast, we have this on YouTube as well. So, if you could actually take a minute maybe to give us something simple that we can do to help with, well, most of us are stressed out. We have issues with shoulders and necks and or whatever you think would be very cool for us to learn.
Okay. Well, let's see, put on the spot. Um, let's just say, so as I said, on our hands, in this middle part of our hands here, this represents our spinal column. So we have here is the cervical, goes down into thoracic, and then it goes down into the lumbar area. So right in this area here, if we have low back issue, what you would do is you just gently take your hand, your fingers, wrap it around your hand, and take your thumb, and there's a little bone right in there, and you can just place it on that, and you're just going to kind of dig in and come out, and dig in and come out, and dig in and come out. And you're just going to work yourself all the way up. I'm just going to do the whole spinal column. You can just work your way all the way up that edge of the thumb. And by that, you're working your spinal column. And you're just going to go to the first little section of your thumb, the part that's closest to the hand, not up through here. And you always go up. You can go down, but you're not going to go down this. way.
That way. Okay. All right.
So
Well,
it's always,
I
yeah,
encourage everyone who is listening in to hop onto YouTube to see this demonstration because I think you have to see it.
yeah. And that is part of what I'll be doing for Miracles is there's going to be a whole session just for self-care. So I'm going to have different videos specifically for backache, for migraines, for stress relief.
So let me
Just
preface this for the listeners. For those of you who are out there, uh, Miracles Ultimate Wellness Resources, we are putting together something called the Healers Academy, which will be launched soon. And we have wonderful instructors such as Tina coming on to share their knowledge in different modalities for those who are already practitioners and want something more to add to their tools, and these are all introductory, and you know, if you want further education, of course you can connect with our healing heroes directly, or for the, you know, the seekers who are like, let me figure out, let me look into this, there where we'll be having that. So stay tuned. I would say go to our website, www.miraclesdirectory.com, which is our parent company, and sign up for our newsletter so that you are, you know, in the know of what we have brewing in our back pockets, as we're always having something that we're offering to help healers as well as seekers. So thank you for that so much. So speaking of teaching, you've been teaching as long as you've been practicing. So just a
Mhm.
few years. What do you love most about educating new practitioners?
I love to teach. I love to be in that arena. What I love most is just to see the students light up and to see their enthusiasm. So I teach at a local massage school, and it's just for me. And I tell my students this all the time. I am, yes, I have the title of a teacher, but I am their equal. I just have a few extra years behind me on this. And the joy that I get is that I'm able to share my passion and my love of massage and reflexology. So I love to be in the room. I love to talk about it. I sometimes I have to take a step back in my head thinking, where is this all coming from? Because it just comes out of you, or comes out of me. And I love to just share and to share my passion. Yes, we have a black and white structured manual to go by, but I'll use that, but then I just expand on it with what I love to do. And it's like, oh, look at this, you can do that too. And um, I love it. I just love to be able to be there and to share. It's mostly sharing my passion. If you had to pull it down to one thing, it's sharing my passion is what I love most about teaching.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I know we talked about reflexology. I know we're a little bit all over the road, but this is just the way it's going to
That's
go.
okay.
um, I want to talk a little bit about Reiki now, because there's
Okay.
different types of Reiki, and you are trained and developed in a couple, I think, two systems. The UC, how do you say that? USI?
I'm not you sigh.
Because that's what I'm trained in. And
Okay.
then there's the Holy Fire 3 Reiki system. So, what are the differences, if there are any differences? And do you blend them both when you're working with your clients?
There isn't a huge difference. There was a man, William Lee Rand is his name, and he came up with the Holy Fire system,
Mhm.
and it's just more refined. He kind of took it and just kind of went a little bit more into it, a little more detailed. So for me, I only see mild differences. It's really the same. It's really the same philosophies, the same everything. It's just he took it and kind of expanded on it a little bit. He does the attunements a little different. He has something called an ignition, which is, we're igniting that holy fire in us or in our clients. So there's just mild differences, but what it comes down to is it's the same energy. Energy is energy, and it's the same kind of energy. We still call upon our people, our spirit guides and the such that comes down and works through us. But ultimately, at least for me, it's pretty much the same.
Okay. And I think maybe we need to back it up a little bit because I'm just making an assumption here. Our listeners are like, oh yeah, I know what Reiki is, but they probably have some out there may not have any clue what Reiki actually is and how it works and the way it works with the energy systems in our body. So
Mhm.
can you just give us a brief kind of explanation or introduction into what Reiki is?
Reiki it's an energy healing. So it's not, it can be hands-on. Some people prefer to put their hands on their clients to do the healing. Some go above. They don't actually touch the client. And then there's actually something called distance healing. So to where I could be sitting here and there could be somebody in Ontario, Canada, that may need something, and you just get yourself centered and in the zone, and I can do the healing distantly.
Yeah.
Leave it. I don't know if that's a word, but you can do
Well,
it
we'll
through
take
distance.
it, right?
Yeah, distantly. And it's energy healing. It's going in and working with, it's actually not me that's doing the healing. I am just the vessel that the healing is coming through me from the belief system of your choice that comes down through you, and then you're doing the healing on the person.
Mm.
So some people feel warmth, some people might feel tingling. It's very relaxing. Some people can go on little journeys in their heads when they're receiving Reiki, and it's quite beneficial. It's quite beneficial.
I would agree. Speaking as a Reiki
Yes.
master myself, I think it's absolutely what I found very powerful is that relaxation that happens. When
Yes.
we end with a client, or sometimes they fall asleep
Oh,
during
yeah.
the sessions. So yeah, some people fall asleep, which, when I first started out, I was like, oh, did like is this working? There's been so many times I'm like, is this working? Is this what is happening here? I want
Yeah,
to share as a practitioner, sometimes even where like, just what is going on? Like, is this real?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially
And I
at
would
the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's I completely relate to that. And comparing the three modalities, massage, I can see and feel what I'm doing. I can feel the muscles relaxing under my hands. With Reiki, same thing. I can feel the texture in the foot or the tension in the foot or hands. I can feel that change, and you can see it. But with Reiki is probably the one modality that I don't want to say struggle with, but like what you said, it's like, that little voice in the back of my head, is that really working? Am I really doing something? But then the client will get up off the table and they're like, wow, that was so powerful. So I would have to say, for those of you that are going out into this specific world, perhaps, or perhaps you're going to be having it done, trust. Just
Mm.
trust in the fact that it does work. Um, so yeah, and that would probably, like I said, the example I said of, when the client gets up off the table and they're like, wow, that was really powerful. I could feel that. It's kind of like a little yay inside. It
Yeah,
does
I
work.
it's like when I talk to my girlfriends, because I just happen to be surrounded by healers, and
Yes.
when I talk to them, I say the same thing because we're all Reiki masters, and I'm like, do you ever have that feeling like is something happening? Is what is happening? Because the experience, and as a healer, is you have that intuition that maybe you should move here, maybe you should go here, maybe there's something there, and you move through the different chakras and release, or different parts of the body, and you begin to release. And because you're not actually touching and feeling, like you said, there's this piece of
Mhm.
like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I just making this up? Or am I truly connected to that source that is
Mhm.
using me to move through and do the healing? And I know for a lot of you who are listening, it may sound woo-woo, because it's not like you said, a muscle that you physically touch, or in
Mhm.
reflexology where you can feel what's going on through the hands, the feet, and the ears. But there is this piece of trust that has to happen. Even when somebody's touching you, you have to have that trust that
Oh,
they're, to
100%.
have that. You know, when in a Reiki session, how do you begin to build that trust with your clients?
Oh gosh, I would say it's just again, I'm going to have to come up with, um, experience and just having them come back and being open, being open. I'm an open book. And I will tell even my massage students that it's okay to always admit that you don't know how to do something. So like, when they go out into the world and they start massaging, there's always an apprehensive of, oh my gosh, am I doing it right? In the beginning, it's always hard. So it's just being open to let the client know, I'm just starting out, or, I'm not quite sure if you're feeling something, just, how can we help each other? So I just think communication is key there. So I might say to a Reiki client, just let me know if you're feeling anything, are you comfortable? Just always check in with them a little bit, not so much that it's annoying, because that can happen
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But are you okay? Are you okay now?
Yeah. Everything good?
Yeah. So you don't want to get to that point, but just check in with them and, just be, like I said, open communication.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that is very important, especially when you have, what I'm going to say is, two newbies together, a newbie client and
Yes.
a newbie practitioner.
Yes.
Communication is always key.
Yeah.
So,
And Reiki is my last modality that I've been using it intuitively,
mm,
I believe, from the beginning of when I started on this back in 1998. I believe that the energy has always been there, and I never put a name or a label on it. And then the Reiki came in later. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I've always struggled with that just a little bit, just because of the fact that there's the label of the energy Reiki.
mhm.
Because I just feel that energy is energy and it all comes together. Now, I love Reiki. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but that's been my little bit of a struggle with
Mhm.
the energy and the Reiki.
And I think
But
a
through
lot
the
of people
years,
struggle with that.
yeah, yeah. But through the years of experiencing Reiki and taking, I had taken it once a long time ago with, which has actually turned into a friend of mine. I was attuned from her, and I think I only did level 1 and 2 with her. I never took the master with her. And then a few years ago, is where probably or maybe 5 years ago is when I started back into my Reiki practice and got attuned 1, 2, and 3 with another gal, and she's the one that's in the holy fire
Mm,
Reiki. So I,
mhm.
I went through the whole thing with her, and I'm still taking classes. Like she'll have little, she'll have like Reiki shares and um, has other classes that I'll still go to because it's an ongoing thing, learning.
Like everything else, right? So just for those
Absolutely.
who are tuning in, that it's never a one and done when we're in I'm going to say the healing arts, whatever
Mhm.
those healing arts are, we are always doing something to continue to learn and grow. Like, for instance, add to the repertoire. You do
Mhm.
massage therapy, reflexology, sound therapy, sound
Mhm.
healing. You're doing the Reiki. So there's always different ways to support your clients, different ways that as our listeners who maybe are looking for healing, that you can actually find that. And healing is not woo woo.
Mhm.
The healing, it's true, we all have energy, we're made of energy. If for those
Absolutely.
of you who are skeptical and are just diving into this world, do some research. I really, really strongly urge you to do some research about how our bodies actually work and how it's connected. And the
Right.
you know the
Mhm.
smallest piece, we're all just energy and matter, and we just happen to be
Mhm.
put together in this sack of a bunch of cells.
Right.
And I would say we all have intuition. It's This question's been in the back of our mind the whole time we've been talking. Is Let's talk about intuition for a minute, because you've brought it up a couple of times. I feel the same way. There's this intuitive pull sometimes for certain things. So let's talk a little bit about intuition just before we wrap up. Um, about how for you does it does it play a role in your life and in your practice?
It's huge. And it's something that I had to learn to trust and
Mm,
really tune into. Because I realize that I'm a very intuitive person. So just in the everyday life, you're going about and something, I can't think of an example, but something comes up and I think, oh, later. It's like I had that thought that I should have turned left and instead I went right, but right led me into whatever, where left was an easy road. So I started really having to tune into those when I would get that tap, when I would get that feeling of
mhm,
something was coming in. I'm even so intuitive that, the typical right before the phone rings, it's going to be a friend of yours, or, right before the song is played on the radio, you start humming it in your head. So those little things that's your intuition. And if you start tapping into that, it can really get stronger and really lead you into fun, fun situations. So bringing it back into my modalities and all of that, it's just really when I teach, I'm going to bring it into the teaching. As I said, I have a handout that I've created and I give them this handout in black and white and it's right there and everything. But I'll tell them it's like that's just a guideline to get you to where you need to go. But the true healing comes from inside, and you need to bring that up and out and into
mhm,
your hands because that's where it's going to work. And I've had, I'll be working along and somebody will say, "How did you know to go there?" And honestly, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you, except for if they'd probably get up and run. If I said, the voices in my head said, "You go there." And it's not even so much the voices in my head, it's just all of a sudden I'm there. I just know
mm,
that that's where I need to be. And it's not even a conscious thought. It's not even like I really don't get you need to move on to their rhomboids or whatever. I
mm,
don't get that thought in my head. It's just suddenly that's where I'm at. And as I said, you have to tap into that, quiet your mind and just kind of just again the trust, intuition, I think kind of goes hand in hand. That you're going to just know what and where you need to go. And kind of bringing that up in regards to when you asked me in the beginning of this, how I tailor make each one of my sessions, it's the intuition. So it just
mm.
kind of all blends in together.
And I love what you said about just quietening yourself a little bit to kind of
Mhm.
connect to intuition for those that are out there who are like, okay, I hear this intuition. Another word could be your gut instinct. Like you
Yeah.
you get this feeling, and Many people say, oh, I was in this area and I just felt shivers. And, I thought maybe this is not a good, like, there was nothing else around except for this feeling that maybe it's not the right place to be. Or, oh, you're in a place and you're like, oh, yes, this is exactly where I need to be. Or, like you said, oh, my hands just kind of move where they're going to move. And you're led by intuition, connection, whatever it is. So, with that, I really wanted to ask, what are some self-care or grounding practices or practices you do to connect to um, your intuition, or that you suggest to our listeners or to your own clients to help them between sessions?
For myself, so self-care, I try to lead a good, healthy life. I do my yoga. I meditate. A perfect example of today's meditation was not sitting quietly, either listening to, guided meditation or anything like that. I was literally in the shower and I thought, oh, I still did my thing before I get out of bed, but I was in the shower and that's when I kind of just tapped into it. I um I try to be conscious of everything that is out there, like when you're taking a walk, just thank you for the ground that I'm walking on, the air that's touching my body, the beauty that I'm able to see. Um, just trying to, and I'm not perfect by any means, believe me. It is a constant, something that I need to, it's something that I'm constantly bringing into my life. And I feel like that's what keeps me grounded, to where I don't fly too far, too far away. Because that's, I mean, my personality, absolutely. I can go in 18 different directions. So when I walk into the massage room, I try to leave everything, or my session room, I should call it. I try to leave everything outside of the door. And again, I'm not Buddha. So suddenly, as I'm working on somebody, I start thinking about, oh, what are we going to have for dinner? And then I just try to bring it back, just bring it back to, okay, I'm not going to think about dinner. I'm going to with the client, and I'm pretty much sure that's not just me speaking. And I think that I can speak for a lot of different uh, healers that are out there that
A
do the
hundred
same.
percent. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, am I the only one who has that weird thought right in the middle of a session? I'm like, shh, nope, not now.
Yeah,
we're,
exactly.
we're over
Because we're
here.
human. We are just human, and this is just the way our brains are wired, 100%. And
Oh,
then what would there said there was like a second part, and then
well,
clients.
it's like, what would you recommend to your clients in between sessions, or even not clients, people who are listening? What would you recommend that they do to keep themselves perhaps grounded, or some sort of self-care routine where they can maybe, we were talking about intuition. So let's just go there. What would you say, or what could you give our listeners that would help them begin to connect to that level of intuition that I would say you and I could have because we're more practiced?
Mhm. I would just say, quieting the mind is a huge thing. And if anybody out there knows the answer to that, please let me know. But just quieting the mind and really tuning into those subtle little things that happen to you throughout the day. I'll say the little taps on the shoulder that says, oh, pay attention to that, or pay attention to this. I would say, start tuning into that and just, bringing themselves back to center. And then in regards to like the in-between sessions and, how they can keep themselves in a good state is to, you know, um, get themselves on a good exercise routine. Maybe, maybe if it's stretching that's going to help, say, their lower back, then maybe look into doing some yoga. Or, I usually give my clients some self-care tips to take home with them, so they can do that. Suggest, meditation, or suggest just just to take 5 minutes. You just need 5 minutes sometimes. We go, go, go. We're in such a high stressed society. This world is there's just always so much that's coming at us that, take 5 minutes, walk away from this this laptop, whatever it is that you've got in front of you. Step away from that and take that break. Roll your shoulders, drink your water, do all the things that we constantly hear being told to do.
It's so true. I think, you know, it's all you need is 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
it's
really can make sense. You can even do 5 minute yoga. Yeah. Okay. I'm always thinking of things to compare. The other day I set the microwave. I had something that I was microwaving for 3 minutes.
mhm.
And during that 3 minutes, I got so much done flittering around my house while I'm like, wow, I got a lot done in 3 minutes. And I kept going back and checking the microwave, and it's like, yeah, a minute and a half one. I'm like, wow, it was going on and on and on. I mean, sometimes time goes like that, but when you really just kind of come down, it's like, well, you can get a lot done in the 3 or 5 minutes. So you
Mm,
can apply that to yourself to take that 5 minutes for self-care. Also.
I love that. And I think that's the best place for us to round off our conversation today. I loved our conversation. We talked about so many things.
Yeah, it
And
was
for
fun.
those of you who are listening, we are so lucky to have Tina on our directory. So if you want to work with her, distance healing, you don't have to be in the same state, country, anything. You can be anywhere in the world, which is one thing I do love about some of the modalities that are available is the ability to be anywhere in the world and still connect with somebody that you feel is a good fit. So check her out on our directory under services. You will find Tina there. And when the Healing Academy comes out, she will be one of our wonderful instructors. We're so excited to have you. And thank you so much for spending your time today with us, Tina.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nina. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for joining us today on Healers Talk Healing. We hope you've been inspired and empowered on your holistic healing journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to continue learning and growing with us, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your own capacity for healing.